Welcome everybody to the Giver Method channel. My name is Jake and I'm glad that you're able to join me. Now today we're going to be talking about how you can rediscover joy in the chaos of life that's happening all around us, and really some simple resets you can do that help you to break out of survival mode. So let me frame up this topic by asking just a few questions that may hit home to you. Like, have you ever caught yourself thinking, like, I should be grateful for what I have, but honestly, I can't feel it right now? Or maybe like, hey, I know good things are happening around me, but all I can see is problems, the stress, and what's still not working in my life. Or perhaps maybe like, hey, I'm so tired, I'm feeling like I'm just surviving each day instead of actually enjoying any of it. If any of that sounds familiar, then you are in the right place. And I want you to know you're not broken. You're definitely not alone in those feelings, because maybe you're a parent who's juggling the hundreds of things that go on throughout the day, the checklists and the pickups and all different things, wondering why these days feel like a blur and the joy that you want to feel isn't showing up. Or maybe you're the entrepreneur who just started your business with some sort of big purpose or vision of what you were trying to get done, but lately you feel like it's just been a pile of problems and pressures and just tasks to get done. Or maybe you're working hard in a career, doing everything like you feel right, but wondering like when it started to feel like you're in survival instead of a success mode. If that's where you are, then let me be the first to say, like, you are not alone. Like, guess what? There's so many people out there. I've been there myself, as a parent, as an entrepreneur, and in working in corporate environment. You're not broken. You're just overwhelmed. And when you're overwhelmed, your brain literally can't see what's right in front of you. So it's not a mindset issue, it's actually science. When you're in survival mode, your nervous system starts scanning for danger all around you. Stress becomes the filter, and suddenly, even good things in your life just start blending into the background. And so I want to help you to reset that and unpack it a bit, so that way we can actually start to rediscover that joy that's all around us in life. Now, my name is Jake Talbert. I'm the founder, I'm the author of this book. It's called The Giver Method. It came out in November. Since coming out, it has been an Amazon bestseller. It's sold thousands of copies, has tons of 5-star reviews. I'm going to put a link to it in the description, so you can go get it for yourself. It's the best $10 that you could invest in yourself, like the best $10 you could invest in yourself. And so what you want to do is you want to go get access to it so that you can dive into those things. People love it for a couple of reasons. And the reason why I think it'd be great for you is because, number one, people love that it's grounded in my story, because I align with where they are or have been. As a parent I've got 3 boys, as an entrepreneur and running a business, as working in that corporate 9 to 5, waking up in that sea of cubicles, I've been there. I've been in the same situation, same scenarios. May not be the exact same as what you're in, but I've been in similar places. And so when I'm giving ideas, suggestions, action items, exercises, they come from the perspective of being someone who's been through those same things. And that's the other reason why people love it, why so many people get it, and why so many people have seen such a drastic change in helping them discover their gifts and superpowers and create more value and influence and impact in their world, is because every chapter has exercises and worksheets and things that you can go do to implement these right away into your life, things that already work in the life that you're already living. So once again, I recommend you go get yourself a copy of the book. I'll put a link in the description, or go to Amazon. You can find The Giver Method by Jake Talbert and get yourself a copy of that. Now, I've known this, like I said, I know how it feels to be in this sort of survival mode because I've been there. Years ago, I remember my wife sent me a photo. She had texted me a photo of our son, and he's laughing, full belly laughing joy, like he was just so excited. And instead of smiling, I looked at the photo and I immediately thought, like, well, that's nice, but like I still have these other calls to do. I still have these other follow-ups to do tonight. And that's when it hit me. My brain had gotten so trained to chase what wasn't working, or checking off all the to-do lists, all the task things, that I couldn't even feel good that was right in front of me, something that was right there. In that moment, it changed things for me, because I finally understood that, like, this idea of finding the joy in my life, which is really grounded in gratitude, isn't about pretending everything's perfect. It's just about rewiring our brains to notice the full picture, not just the problems. And it's learning how to access calm and clarity and connection even in the middle of the chaos that's going on around you. Now, there's tons of data in the book. I love grounding everything in science and research, and so I also like to, in these videos, there's tons of data and research out there that shows that strategic gratitude, the kind where that we're going to dive into today, has shown to reduce your stress hormones by up to 25%, improve sleep, improve life satisfaction, and shift your brain out of a threat mode into a place where it can actually see the good again, which then opens up new opportunities because you're approaching every situation differently. That's the best part. Best part of all this is you don't have to overhaul your life. You don't have to put in some sort of like 5 a.m., exercise thing that you do every single day. Like, you don't have to do any of that to make this work. Like, these practices are built for real life, for the commutes, when you're doing laundry, carpool lines, the 15-minute breaks between Zoom calls. So I want to walk you through these 6 really practical and science-backed resets, that are helping busy parents or tired professionals, purpose-driven entrepreneurs break free from that survival mode. Not by changing their whole life, but by changing the way they see their life. Once again, like I said, everything's going to be grounded in the Giver Method book, because when you start giving from a place of appreciation instead of depletion, everything will shift for you. You show up differently, you lead differently, you connect differently. So like I said, you grab yourself a copy of the book. The link is in the description or on Amazon. You can also find us on all the social medias. Go follow us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn. I love it when people follow us on different channels, or check out thegivermethod.com for more resources and ways that we help people. Now, at the same time, if you're like, hey, all this sounds good, but I want some personal support, some one-on-one attention, I want someone in my corner who understands how to apply this day to day, then we did open up a few coaching positions. You can go check out the link below and check out if it makes sense for us to jump on a call and dive deeper into that. If you lead a team, host a podcast, run some sort of event, or like have a space where people gather to, because they want real growth, and you think that something like this could help them, then I'd love to connect and talk about what that could look like. So there's a link below for speaking and podcasting. And if at any time during this, if it hits home to you, leave a comment and let me know. Tell me what stuck out to you. What was that shift you had? Of course, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell for notifications so that you do not miss out on any of our future content. All right, with that, let's talk about how you stop waiting for life to feel lighter, and you start seeing the support and the beauty and the joy that's already here, hiding in plain sight. And so the first principle or strategy that we're going to focus on is there's this stress signal switch. So stress is the signal, right? How to turn chaos into clarity. And it's this is one simple shift that you can start with. Something that is going to sound maybe even a little backwards to some of you at first. But if you're someone who lives in the constant state of I'm just trying to keep it all together, this might shift. This is the shift that you didn't know that you fully needed. What if stress wasn't a stop sign? What if it was actually your reminder to slow down enough and to notice what's still good? Here's what's wild. When you're overwhelmed, truly spinning, spiraling, whatever you feel, your brain goes into survival mode. You literally stop noticing anything helpful, anything hopeful around you. And so you're not broken. You're just what scientists call you're in that threat detection mode. Your brain that normally notices beauty or gratitude or possibility, it just goes quiet because your brain doesn't think it's hey, there's a fire that I have to go put out. So it's going to focus on that area and start turning off these other parts of your brain. But here's the cool part. Every stress spike, every meltdown moment, every I can't do this thought, is also a window. A moment when your brain is already shifting. And with a little practice, you could actually train that shift towards something steady instead of spinning out further. And so here's what you can do. Here's how you can work this into real time to actually see some sort of a impact. The next time that you feel your body tense up, your shoulders clench, your heart speeds up, your kids are screaming, in the backseat, your inbox exploded again, just pause for 10 seconds, just 10 seconds. Don't solve it, don't fix it, just look. Find one thing right in that moment that you can be genuinely grateful for. Maybe it's that your cup of coffee is still warm. Maybe it's that the sun is hitting your dashboard. Maybe it's the fact that your kid feels safe enough to fall apart in front of you. Whatever it is, just acknowledge that thing in that moment for just a few moments and then breathe. Honestly, breathwork does great things. 3 deep breaths in, while holding that thought, that moment of gratitude. What you're doing here is you're not just calming down, but you're rewiring your stress response system. You're training your body to see something true when it normally is seeing what's wrong, and it's trying to spiral. And what I want to reinforce that's even more important here is if you start a note on your phone, right? And call it your stress signals. And every time that you find an appreciation moment in the middle of a chaos, like we talked about there, write it down. And after a few days, you'll start to see a pattern. When does stress hit? How did you pause? Did you notice something good? And it starts to shift how you see life, just because of how you're seeing things in that moment. And it changes things for people because now stress doesn't mean that you're behind or you're blowing it or whatever. It's like a time anchor, right? It's time to notice what's still true, and a version of you that's there, who stays grounded when things get crazy. That's a version your kids and your businesses, your team, and honestly, you have all been waiting for and need more of in their lives. And so that leads us into the second principle, which is this idea of like, you are not as alone as you feel. Spotting support that's been there all along, noticing those invisible networks that already exist. Something that might feel a little hard to believe, like if you've been carrying a lot with you lately, like you're not doing it alone, and you may feel that way. I know it feels like you are. Like you're juggling deadlines or emotions, kids, clients, laundry, logistics, and on top of all that, like low-key belief whispering to you, like that no one really sees how much you're holding. But here's the truth, your stressed out brain doesn't want you to know in any sort of a way. You are surrounded by more support than you actually realize. And no, I'm not talking about like some mystical, spiritual safety net, but although that would be pretty cool though, right? What I'm talking about is like real tangible ways, like your life is being held up right now by people, systems, kindness, that stress has made invisible to you. And the reason why is when you're stuck in survival mode, once again, your brain's wired to scan for the things that are wrong and filter out the good stuff. If it's not urgent, your brain doesn't want to know it. So what ends up happening is you miss it. You miss that friend who checked in with you. You miss that partner who did the dishes without being asked. You miss the coworker who covered for you, the neighbor who brought your trash can up to the curb, the stranger who held the door for you, when your hands were full, whatever. Like these aren't just nice gestures. They're evidence. They're evidence that you're not alone, even if it feels like it. So try this for the next 7 days. Start this idea of like creating your support list, like support spotting list, where each day you jot down one moment where anyone made your life a little bit easier. And it could be big, it could be tiny, it doesn't matter. What matters is you're telling your brain, hey, look, that was cool, that mattered, that person did that thing, or this made my life a little bit easier. And if you want to level it up from there, like once a week, send out like what I call is like the invisible appreciation message, where shoot someone a quick text or voice note, like, hey, I know I don't say it enough, but thank you for always helping me with, with the bedtime stuff, with my kids, when I'm really fried. It does mean something to my sanity. Like, gosh, if you send that to your partner, like how much of an impact that have? Like just a thing, like that could be, you could think of things based for coworkers or for, people on your team, whatever that may be. These don't have to make the other person's day. They just retrain your brain to scan for support instead of scanning for stress. When you start seeing that help's already there, like two things happen. One, you stop feeling like you're carrying the whole world by yourself. And two, you become someone who just naturally notices and appreciates others, which weirdly draws even more support to you. It creates what researchers call out there this upward spiral. The more support you notice, the more you feel supported. The more you feel supported, the more energy you have to offer back. And the whole thing becomes this positive loop, one tiny recognition at a time. So next time your brain says like, no one's helping me, or I'm alone, like no one gets this, like don't ignore it, but do challenge it, because chances are help's already there. You just haven't seen it yet. Now, the third principle we want to talk about is this idea of like, there's joy amnesia, and it's real. And here's how you start remembering what's actually been working and building your personal library of like these daily joy evidences. Because if we're honest, when life's coming at you fast, even if good stuff starts slipping through the cracks a little bit, right? You start to notice those things. You finally have a real conversation with your teenager. You finish that big project that's been hanging over your head. You've got 5 minutes quietly with your morning coffee, but by lunchtime, that feels gone. Your brain's already back into crisis mode, scanning for what's urgent, what's wrong, what still needs to be fixed. This is where that joy amnesia comes in. We forget about the moment we just had. If you're in that survival mode, and you've been in it for a while, like it's not just frustrating, it's actually rewiring your brain to forget the stuff that helps you stay sane. And, negative experiences, they get stored really fast in our brains. Your brain is wired to look for those because it thinks it's tied to that survival. But the good stuff, the light and easy and joyful moments, they don't stick unless you slow down enough to actually file them away. So if you've been feeling like there's nothing good happening, it's probably not true. It's just that you're not holding on to the good stuff long enough for your brain to register it. And so here's how you start to change that. Start with this little thing, like there's a daily joy evidence file like that you want to start to create. Where each night before bed, you grab your phone or a note or a journal, whatever, and you're going to jot down one thing, just one, that felt even slightly good for that day. It could be your kid randomly said something kind, your cup of coffee hit just right, teammate thanked you for something, sat in your car for 60 seconds of silence, and it felt amazing. You finished mowing your lawn and you're like, dang, those lines are straight. Whatever it is, like be as specific as you can. Not like, I had a good chat. No. Hey, Sarah and I laughed when I told her a story about this broken Zoom link and it felt good to make someone smile at the end of a stressful day. Weird, like those little details, they matter. They're what help your brain file it under like real and not background noise. And after 2 weeks, read it back, go back to those notes. You'll probably be shocked at how much good has actually happened in your life, not because anything magically changed, but because you did. You started just paying attention. And if you want to take it even further, then you could try this like joy echoes. All right, where for 1 week you share one of those little wins with somebody else. Tell your spouse, your partner, hey, I noticed the way our kid helped their sibling today, and like that moment, gosh, that was amazing. Or maybe send a friend a quick message like, hey, I got the nicest compliment at work today. And I like it and I actually let it land for a moment. Here's why this works so well. Like, you're not just documenting these nice moments, but you're literally retraining your brain from like the default setting of like problem scanning to joy spotting. And you stop seeing your day as a blur or stress, and you start seeing it as a series of moments that are worth remembering. Plus, you're then making those connections with other people who get to hear about it and they're going to start looking for more positives in their lives. And no, like this doesn't mean that you ignore hard stuff. It just means that when the hard stuff hits, you've got the mental like shelf full of these small wins and reminders in your life of like that there's still goodness and beauty and connection. Like, this is about building emotional strength, not by doing more, but by noticing more. So if you're in those days, if you've got the days that feel like a blur because of survival mode, and you're trying to just collect one moment at night, that's it, just one moment. Just look for like one moment or a shift or reminder that joy is still here, even if like it's just been you too overwhelmed to see it. And over time, hopefully you can start to notice more than one. You start to notice the bigger ones, how they're growing, how they're starting to collect more and more or compound on top of each other. So those are going to make such a big difference. Now, our fourth principle or idea that we want to talk about is like there's the spiral interrupt technique. So how we use this idea of finding joy, spotting joy, gratitude to quiet the chaos in your head, like break the negative thought spiral. There's these anchors of appreciation we want to put in there. And it's something that we've all dealt with. Like, you're lying in bed at probably like 2 a.m. and your brain decides to run through everything that could possibly go wrong tomorrow. All the things. You're driving to work, replaying all the ways that you feel like your life is falling apart. Or you're in the middle of your day and out of nowhere you feel stuck in the spiral of second guessing everything about yourself. Does that sound familiar? Because I've been there. I know it happens to me all the time. And the truth is, like, these mental loops aren't like proof that anything's wrong or broken. Like, they're actually your brain's trying to protect you, scanning for the problems, trying to stay ahead of anything that could go wrong. But when that protective wiring becomes a default, like when it's that default programming or default mode, it creates mental space where that's where anxiety and doubt and overwhelm take the front seat, and gratitude gets shoved into the trunk. And so that's where this spiral interrupt tool comes in. It's about using the simplest gratitude moment as a circuit breaker. Not to fake out the stress, but to create enough space for your brain to think clearly again so you can get out of the spiral. So here's how you do it. The moment that you notice that you're spiraling, like, pause. Like, don't try to fight the negative thought. That's usually what makes them dig deeper. Instead, shift your attention and look for something real and grounded that you can appreciate right now. Not something like crazy profound, just something that's true. Maybe it's a warmth of the coffee mug in your hands. Maybe it's, how your breath feels steady. Maybe it's the one person that always shows up for you no matter what. The way that you made it through hard things. Whatever it is, let yourself sit for 30 seconds and feel it. Let it interrupt the noise just long enough for your brain to catch a breath. When you're not pretending the problems don't exist, you're just giving your nervous system a softer place to stand on, like to go face them. And the bonus to all this is start noticing the patterns, like what kind of gratitude helps certain spirals. Maybe if you're anxious about work, grounding in physical safety helps. Maybe parenting stress, like when it hits, like remembering people in your corner shifts your energy. Like whatever it is, just start building your own, like this is like your mental gratitude toolkit. So just have this go-to list, of all these, when your thoughts, try to spiral, you can turn back to, you start looking for those. Now, if you want to take it to the next level, try this like preloaded gratitude. Let's say it's a Sunday night, and maybe that's the night that tends to trigger anxiety. Like it could show up in all sorts of ways. But let's just say that it is. Or certain work meetings, send you into performance panic. Like, take 60 seconds before those moments and anchor yourself in something good. Small move that builds a big buffer, so you don't get pulled under so easily. Like just giving yourself that moment before you head into it so that you don't spiral quickly. You're starting at a higher playing ground to catch yourself. And when you stop the spiral before it snowballs, like you can stay calmer and clearer and more grounded. That doesn't just help you, it helps everyone around you. Your kids feel it, your partner feels it, your team feels it, like you feel it. And you're not just like you're not just erasing negative thoughts, because thoughts are going to come no matter what. You're just reminding your brain that the appreciation, the safety, the clarity still exists even in the chaos. And sometimes that one small perspective shift, it's all you need to stop the spiraling and start moving forward again. Now that takes us to the fifth one, which is like there's this energy source identification process. What's draining you and what's actually filling you back up? That bone deep exhaustion that doesn't go away with sleep or coffee or a quick break. Yeah, most of us have been there. Most of us understand what that is. And the tricky thing is we blame tiredness, everything, like we blame it on everything when really it's not everything that's causing the tiredness. It's just a handful of specific things or people or patterns that are quietly draining our energy, and we just haven't noticed them yet. And that's why this energy, being an energy detective and actually going through and looking at things is so important. You don't need to change your entire life. You just need, gosh, please do not quit your job or, to go live in the cabin in the woods or, anything. Just start paying attention to what's actually filling your tank and what pokes a slow leak in it. Because when you start noticing real sources of energy, and yes, the ones that drain you too, you're going to stop running on empty, and you stop giving yourself your best to the worst parts of your day. You start building a version of you that, your schedule actually supports instead of burning out. So here's what I want you to do. For 1 week, what I want you to do is I want you to start with a simple energy and appreciation log, where throughout the day, 3 times, morning, afternoon, and evening, you pause and ask yourself, where's my energy right now on a scale of 1 to 10? What's one thing that gave me even a tiny bit of energy during this window? It could be a quick walk before, between calls. It could be a laugh with your kid. It could be getting one more thing on your list that's been hanging over your head. It could be a 5-minute playlist, that resets you between meetings. Whatever it is, write it down. It doesn't have to be fancy, just notice it. But at the end of the week, you're going to look back and you look for the patterns. What's giving you life, that you've maybe been overlooking? What's draining you that you've been tolerating? When you see those patterns, you're going to start realizing that not all of your work, that's exhausting, not all of it has to be exhausting. There's some of it that is good. And just, that's just that one weekly meeting that really kills me, or that conversation that's taken me out, homework at night that wipes me out. Whatever it is, you just have to notice what that thing is and start to be okay, well, how can I address that? And this is where it gets even better. If you know the things that are going to energize you, you can actually use that data. So you can do energy and gratitude scheduling, where if you've got something coming up that drains you, like a hard meeting or bedtime chaos or a client call, stack energy givers right before it and right after it. Give yourself I'm going to listen to my favorite song while, making some coffee, and take 3 deep breaths, while I appreciate the quiet before the storm. I'm stepping outside for 60 seconds for fresh air, whatever. Take that thing that's going to give you that reset. You go do it, and then you reset again. You're not trying to fix the situation. You're just creating these buffers, these refuel points, and spaces where you remember oh, right, I'm a human, not a machine, and I just have to prep myself for what's coming. You start appreciating the choices you make to protect your energy. When you go to bed instead of doom scrolling, appreciate that. When you say no to something that's too much, appreciate your boundaries. When you ask yourself, ask for help from somebody else instead of just toughing through it, appreciate your growth, in any of these things, because when you become aware of what's feeding you, what, you actively appreciate, you stop feeling like a passive passenger in your life, and you stop being ruled by this exhaustion and start reclaiming your energy that you actually need to show up, as a partner, as a parent, as a leader, as just a human trying to do life better. If you want to show up as your authentic self, this is what you have to do. It's not about becoming superhuman. It's about finally honoring what makes you feel like yourself again. And then our 6th and final one. So there's relationship appreciation and how you deepen that, how you stop taking people for granted even when you're overwhelmed. Because let's be real, when life is nonstop, the first thing that starts slipping through the cracks is how we show up in our relationships. You're not doing it on purpose. It happens to all of us. You're managing the deadlines, the dishes, the clients, the carpools, and all of a sudden, the people closest to you start feeling more pressure than support. You notice when they frustrate you by, but you stop noticing when they help. Or when they try, or when they're just there for you, right? And this is where appreciation becomes more than just a nice idea. It becomes a reset button to help your relationships. And it's not vague, blanket, I'm grateful for you. No, that's not the type of energy we're looking for. I'm talking very specific, personal, real appreciation, the kind that makes people feel seen and the kind that shifts how you see them too. And so here's how this works. start with what I call like there's the 1-day thank you note challenge, where once a day for a week, notice something specific someone in your life does that made your day better. Even if it's little, it could be your partner putting gas in your car. It could be a teammate jumping in without being asked. It could be a kid putting away their shoes without a meltdown. Simple stuff, but real stuff. And then tell them, like a quick text, a 10-second thank you note, thank you in the kitchen, a sticky note like on their laptop, whatever. Like, hey, I really appreciate you handling bedtime last night while I finished that project. It gave me space to breathe again. Hey, thanks so much for taking the time to, jump in on this thing and help me out, because it gave me some clarity on what I needed and some room to breathe. Whatever, that's it. Just one sentence. Like, the more powerful, like, this is going to be more powerful the more specific you are than if you are generic. Like the 100 generic, like, you're amazing compliments, like, that doesn't mean as nearly as much as if I just wrote one, like, legitimately deep sentence that I actually have that appreciation in, because it shows that you noticed. And when people feel noticed, they lean in. They bring more of their best. Your relationships start to feel like relationships again, not responsibilities. Now, if you want to go deeper into this, then there's the advanced version where it's like gratitude during the grit. Here it is, like during a conflict. When you're in a disagreement with someone like important to you, pause and find something that you genuinely appreciate them in that moment. Maybe you respect how much they care. Maybe you admire their honesty, even if it stings. Like, it's not that you're giving up your side. You can just choose to see the person, not just the problem. And that one move shifts the entire tone of the conversation. And there's also this idea of like gratitude for growth. Like, this is, you could be one of those seasons when, the people you love are struggling or showing up imperfectly. But let's be honest, like, those seasons come often. You might not love how your teen is talking to you, but you appreciate that, they're trying to express something. You might not agree with your partner's approach, but you can appreciate their effort to show up in ways, that they know how. And this is so important. It's just a shift in how we approach these things, because like when your appreciation becomes a regular part of that rhythm, you stop seeing relationships as drains and you start seeing them as the source of strengths. Your kids feel seen, your partner feels supported, your team feels trusted, and you feel reconnected to the people you care about the most. This isn't about making others feel good. It's about training your brain to stop scanning for what's missing and start noticing what's already there. And when you do that consistently, you become the kind of person like you want to be around, not just because you're perfect, but because you see them, like you see the good in them. You reflect back more, and that's the kind of energy that makes everything feel lighter for them and for you. And so let me just leave you with this, like, rediscovering the joy that's around you in the chaos doesn't mean you're pretending like everything's fine. It's not about faking positivity or sugarcoating the stress, because those are there. You're carrying a lot, and none of that's small. But what it is about is retraining your brain to see the whole picture. Because if you're stuck in that survival mode, your brain, your mind, everything's going to zoom in on the problems and the pressures and the places where you feel like you're falling short. Honestly, like, once again, it's not a flaw, it's science, it's biology, it's how we're made. Our brain is trying to protect us. But that protection isn't the same as presence. And what it misses is, like, when you're stuck in this high alert, you miss the quiet, like, gifts that are already surrounding you. And so the things we talked about today, these aren't just fluffy self-help ideas. These are real tools and shifts that you can do to create major returns, because, like, they help you see things again. You're not just doing a gratitude practice, you're building a more grounded and present version of yourself. You become the kind of parent who, like, doesn't miss the good stuff because you're too busy managing a schedule. You become the kind of leader or entrepreneur who sees possibility where others maybe see pressure, or the kind of partner, teammate, or whatever, like, friend who brings steadiness, not because life is easy, but because you finally found an anchor in the middle of it. This is what it looks like to give from a place of alignment instead of exhaustion. This is where your real gifts, the things that you have around you, are ready to show up, not when things calm down, but when you choose to notice what's already working, what's already there, and what's already yours. And when you do that day by day, you start building these relationship riches. The R of giver is all about relationship riches, the kind that connection, like, that won't drain you, it restores you. And so if you want to dive deeper into any of these sort of topics, these sort of things we're talking about today, or any of the videos that we have here on the channel, then once again, that's where I highly recommend that you go get the GIVER method on Amazon. There's a link in the description. It'll walk you deeper through everything we covered today, the real world tools to make, that fit real life chaos. I promise you, it's not just theory, it's a roadmap back to yourself and living a more fulfilled life. If you're craving someone in your corner, some one-on-one attention, like, someone to help you, apply these things in a way that it sticks, then, once again, you can check out the one-on-one coaching that we have down in the description. You'll find a link for that. And then, hey, if you lead a team, run a podcast, host a space or an event where people are trying to live with more impact and alignment, then I'd love to bring this conversation to your people. This belongs in rooms like that. So there's a link where we can connect and discuss how we do that. And of course, if this video spoke to you in any sort of way, drop a comment. Tell me which principle hit home for you the most. What's one thing you're going to start doing this week to rediscover joy in the middle of your real and messy and beautiful life? And of course, hey, hit the like button on the video, subscribe to the channel, tap the bell for notifications so you don't miss out on any of the other videos I record throughout the week. Just remember this, you don't have to have a perfect schedule or a quiet house, or a miracle week to start feeling more like yourself again. You just need to see what's quietly been waiting for you to notice. The gratitude reset doesn't start when life slows down. It starts right here, right now, in the life that you already have. And so I'll just say thank you so much for being here with me today and investing this time in this. I can't wait to see what happens when we start to unlock more of our gifts and start creating more impact in the world. And so I will catch you in our next video. Have a great rest of your day.